Okay, welcome to this first of a few videos in a series of operating the Level D Simulations Boeing 767-300. Basically what I'm going to show you in this video is how to start the aircraft from cold and dark. If you don't know how to get your aircraft to be cold and dark once you load it up in the simulation, it's rather easy to do it. You press Level D on your Flight Simulator menu, go into Panel, define default panel settings, and it's parked at Seattle. You select that as default. Don't worry about the parked at Seattle bit, it won't load up at Seattle if you've loaded up elsewhere. Okay, the first item on the checklist to get the airplane powered up is to turn on the battery, obviously. That's on the overhead panel and it's right here. You press that, a few lights come on the panel itself. Then you have several options to permanently power the airplane. Your battery will only last for about 20 minutes and it's good for about one APU start. So what I always do is I start the APU, that's the auxiliary power unit located in the tail of the airplane. This will supply both electricity and air to the engines for engine start. There is an alternative. You can call the ground crew and connect external power. Personally, I don't like that option because I always have to disconnect it before push, which sometimes I tend to forget. Okay, I've selected that into start position now, so take a moment or two to start. While it's starting, we can still go through some of the other items on the checklist. Okay, what I find the best system for operating this aircraft is to go through the overhead panel in a rhetorical, simple manner, starting the top left, ending up over here, so going down the panel like so. That way it's very hard to leave something out. Okay, the first item on the checklist is the IRS selector, which is up here. This basically is the brain of the navigation system, which will get you to your destination in cooperation with the FMC. What you have to do is you have to align it first. Now the airplane has just come alive, the APU has just started. Once the APU is started, I find it good practice to turn on the APU bleed and turn on the right and left isolation valves. You only need these when the APU is running, you don't need them when the engines are running. As you can see, the engine valves are on cut off at the moment. What that does is it delivers air from the APU into the engine isolation valves for startup. We'll come to that again in a while. Okay, the first job is to put these to align. Now you can do two things. You can put it into align, one of the aligns into nav. What I prefer to do is put it straight into nav, because that way once it's aligned you don't have to worry about it again. Now once I've that done, I have to set my position in the FMC just so it can verify I'm actually at this airport. I'm at Dublin Airport. I'm at Dublin Airport, so that's Echo India Delta Whiskey. Okay, that's all you have to do there. Basically, when that's aligning, we can do everything else. You have to turn on your hydraulic pumps and your demand valves. You have to arm your emergency exit lights. That's done. You select your engine start to number 2 and you put it to automatic. You make sure your fuel jettison is off. Hopefully you wouldn't be using that on the ground. You turn on your fuel pumps for any tanks that have fuel. I don't have any fuel in my center tanks, so I'm not going to turn the pumps on. You can turn on your cargo heat if you want. You turn on your window heat, it might get a bit cold in the cockpit otherwise. Seatbelt sign to on. You set your landing altitude here. I'm not going to bother with that because I'm not actually going to do a flight now, so whatever your landing altitude is for your destination, you set it here. These buttons, you can contact the cabin crew. You can make announcements, whatever. They'll also contact you if they find it's too hot or too cold or something. That's your flight initialization button. You can just ignore them. You don't have to touch them. Over here you have your temperature selection switches. They're that tells you the temperature it is in the cabin at the moment. Sometimes if you wish, excuse me, you can turn on the packs when the APU is running before your engine starts to maintain a ambient temperature. You turn them to auto. Personally, I don't do this because I don't care about the passengers, to be quite honest. So you can just leave them in the off position. Like, you're just waiting for IRS to align now. That takes a minute or two. While that's happening, I'll show one or two other things. I find a good practice to turn on the position light all the time when the APU is running, just for safety purposes. Okay, apart from the FMC, is the integral part of your flight. It's important to set it up properly so you get the most out of your flight. It's not terribly difficult to do. You might not know how to do it. Might put off from learning how to do it. Can appear difficult. It's not that difficult. My IRS has just declined now because that's after appearing. What you do is you put in your go onto your route page. This is your origin airport and your destination airport. Just for demonstration purposes, I'll say I'm flying from Dublin to Shannon, and I'll use runway 28 for departure in Dublin. You can put in your flight number if you want. Again, you don't have to. It's totally up to you. My SIDs aren't in here at the minute because my navigation database is acting silly on me. So again, you select your SID. You can also select your arrival. Then you go into your route page and you put your waypoint. Your initial waypoint is here. Then you put your airway on the left hand side. Just for demonstration, I would say I'm going Peleg, then the Victor 14 airway to Dean. Whoops. Then you have to activate it and you press execute. There you go, my route is now active. The performance initialization page is next. You click it by pressing that. You have to put these gross weight figures in yourself. It's not terribly difficult because you can get it from the flight sim itself. You press aircraft and you go into fuel and payload. You can see my gross weight is 127.2. You put that in the top. 127.2. My reserves, usually I carry 1 ton reserves and most flights depending. I'll go at level 160 down to Shannon. Cost index of 300. Now the cost index, basically just to tell you what that's about, that sets your VNAV speeds, your climb speeds and all that sort of thing. It's important that you've those set up correctly, otherwise you might find it'll take ages to climb because it might be able to reach the specified speed. You can change the speeds here, so it's not terribly difficult. Once your Perfinit page done, you set your flap setting, which in turn gives you your V-speed, your V1, your rotation speed and your V2 speed. Now in here you can do a D-rated takeoff. That means the engines will use a lesser thrust, which will prolong the life of the engines and so on. You can use it if the weather is hot. You won't be using D-rated takeoff obviously. If it's cold, if you're light, if you have a strong wind, depending. You set the temperature D-rated takeoff by pressing that. You can put in the temperature here, say 16. It's not going to do D-rated because it's not hot enough. You can put in if you're doing an intersection takeoff, you can put in how many meters of a takeoff run you have in here. On the FCC, that's all you really have to do, to be quite honest, to get yourself going. Procedure is very, very simple. Okay, what you do is, once you confirm your packs are off and your isolations are on, you move that into ground. Now as you can see, this will start to come alive over here. You want up your pedestal. Once the N2 reaches around 20%, you flick that into the run position and hey presto, the engine will start. Okay, there we go. You can see it's turning me and everything else. Okay, the push is complete now, so I just set my parking brake. He'll disconnect the interphone, he'll go away and leave me alone, just where he belongs. Anyway, engine start for second, engine number 1 is exactly the same. Into ground, wait till it comes to 20%, then press run. Still spooling up. Okay, there's a successful spool up on that engine. Both engines are now successfully started. The after engine start procedure is simple. You turn off your isolation valves, you turn off your APU bleed, and you turn on your packs. That will then supply air to the cabin. You turn off your APU, do a general scan overhead just to make sure everything is fine. After that, well then that's your after start procedure and your startup procedure.